Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is The Simpsons Index, episode 237. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and here as always, except when he's not, is BT Calloway.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And here is sometimes, except when he isn't, but right now he is Danny Rosewell.
I'm Danny Rosewell.
And thank you for joining us for The Simpsons Index. We review Simpsons.
What if this is a first-time listener, first-time caller, long-time listener?
Yeah,
Then
we
they've been
review
listening.
Simpsons.
Well, I guess then they'd know how it worked.
Except when we don't.
I want to meet the only fan who just knows us through the spreadsheet and nothing else.
You mean they do a podcast? Shit, I could have been learning all about these episodes.
Yeah.
I could have learned so little.
The only part of the website they didn't go on was the part that is labeled The Podcast.
Yeah.
And the subheading, the online spreadsheet that is also a podcast.
They didn't know what that was.
They just started with the start, and they just like, I'll skip them the rest later.
We've got to get through the spreadsheet, then I'll look into these podcasts.
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we
If you're out
review
there.
Simpsons. We put it on the
Shout out to
spreadsheet.
you.
And yeah, shout out to you for listening, and thank you. As we review today, Season 34, Episode 8, Step Brother from the Same Planet. Directed by Matthew Fornan, written by Dan Weber, released in I forgot to write that down, December of 2022, let's say. In this episode, Homer gets a new stepbrother. Okay, guys, what'd you think?
Are we really talking like December 22, like crazy recent?
Crazy recent.
I'll look it up.
Way to make him do work, man.
Oh, I mean, like ballpark, this is like a
Yeah.
disgustingly recent episode.
Oh, yeah. November of 2022.
Yeah, this was a fucking weird episode, man.
This should have worked better than it did.
There was so much going on that it could have. Oh, and it was leaning so hard on heavily established like TV tropes.
It was so tropey.
Oh man,
That's fine. Tropes can work.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you're just watching something play out.
Sorry, you nearly harmonized on, but...
1, 2, 3. Yeah, but
Takes two to harmonize, Elliot.
we can fix that in post.
I
don't
heard
worry.
the ball hitting the ground.
Yeah, we'll record me getting it clean, and then I could just layer it later.
All right.
Yeah, but...
You're
Yeah.
a monster to your own podcast.
Wasn't impressed with this episode. Oh, except for that one musical sting that was really good.
Yeah.
Except they were so chuffed with it they used it twice. That kind of let me down a
I
little.
should be impressed with this, though. Like, it's coherent. It keeps a lot of its pigs in line. It has respect for the memory that it brings back so many elements that it established in the beginning. It remembers history, Simpsons history. So much of this should work, and yet it was 23
Swing and a miss.
laughless minutes.
Swing and a
I
miss.
Yeah, laughless is the big thing here. It's still meant to be a comedy show. I know we complain about the emotions because, like, the Simpsons had both. They had wackiness
Yeah.
and heart.
Yeah. I think it's just like pacing and acting. The drawings were beautiful. The soundtrack was gorgeous. Something about the voice acting wasn't always impressing me because I kept paying attention to it. You know, ideally, you don't think about it when you're just in the mo.
Yeah.
In le mo.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of it thinking, what's his name? Calvin? Hobbs? Calvin?
Yeah. Did anyone pick the guest voice actor here?
You mean it wasn't Bart or Lisa? I swear it was.
I don't know who Calvin Harris is, but Calvin Harris.
EDM DJ Calvin Harris.
I don't know. I just told you I don't know who it is.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
No, they didn't go for the. It has the same name.
Bill Watterson.
They didn't even go for
the.
the they have the same gender thing either.
Oh, really? Huh.
It's a woman. Just name a woman.
God, Queen Elizabeth II.
It's a horse.
Surely she was dead by that. Oh, I guess they recorded it a year later. But anyway, it wasn't her. It was Melissa McCarthy.
Kristen Shaw.
Kristen Shaw is a horse.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy was in this episode.
Okay, good for her.
Yeah, how'd you think she did?
Fine.
I know what you mean, though. It could have been Tress.
Yeah, it was really very neutral and could have been anything, and not a whole lot of jokes for her to lift.
Like
here.
it was a bad tress, but for a pull for a cameo, they did better than most cameos do.
And speaking of cameos, how about the other guest voice actor playing Blythe, Grandpa's new wife?
Bernie Mitchell,
Again.
Calvin Harris.
Kristen Shaw.
Do we switch genders again?
No. Anyway, it was Carol Kane, who you might remember as the landlord from The Unbreakable Kimmy
wrote-
Schmidt.
Those songs with James Taylor.
Right.
That was Carol Christmas.
Oh, he's dropping his ball. He'd been at AIM.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, Carol King.
Tapestry.
Very,
Tapper,
very
Tapestry?
famous. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Carol Kane, and she was in an episode of Seinfeld, and she had a radio dropped on her from
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
from that Russian writer.
Yeah, I
Look,
remember. Yuri Testikov.
Yeah, that's it.
See, I remember the name of the fake Russian writer in Seinfeld, but you give me the name of an actor I've seen in multiple roles. Like, who?
Yeah. Sorry, do go on.
I don't think she really had a chance to shine in this.
Yeah.
She was given
that
like 3 lines and
character
then
was
disappeared.
dropped quick smart. The second she was no longer useful, she was gone.
Yeah.
And then we kind of came back from the story happening and she was already gone. She didn't come back for like a last minute crescendo.
No, Grandpa wrote her off in story. She found someone else. She moved on from me. That was it.
Mid-montage, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be another thing that I'm gonna just jump in with the questionnaire first. Fuck it, why not? For better or worse, what stands out to me, the Lisa Bart chucking a party in Abe's room subplot.
Yep.
Man, this was pointless.
Yeah, it felt like it was going places because it has one of the better lines of, are you chain sucking lollipops? You know, the idea that she's high on sugar to keep going, to keep planning more parties, to keep go.
Yep.
But that's it. That's the only part where she seems frazzled and burned out.
They just didn't have long enough to work with it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't know where the time did go.
Because the other story had nothing to it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's so weird that they wrote out a woman that would tolerate Abe's presence and, like, what his life must look like with her. It just shifted so quickly to the kid.
Yeah, which I get is the point because, Homer sees Abe being nice to this kid, and we all know he had a difficult childhood with Abe. So that's the emotional core of this one, and that does work with a question mark on the end. Because, again, I want to like this one. I really do. Like, the fact that both A and B plots do spring from the same point, that Abe has moved out of the retirement home and now he's living with this woman and her adopted son, and so therefore his room at the retirement castle is free. That's really good. And
It's a problem with where they're putting our heart points, though.
I only have so many to spend.
Yeah, they get me invested in Abe's new relationship.
Yeah.
And then instantly their relationship is happening off screen while we worry about Homer making friends with...
That's the thing. We start with Abe looking very different off model because he's dressing differently because he's dating this, hippie woman. And that's not a thing about it anymore.
Yeah, they dropped that too. Like, why introduce the man bun character model if you're not going to use it? Oh, wait, it's probably for tapped out and you probably got to pay 200 donuts for it. Sorry, answer my own question. BT, what stands out to you from this episode for better or worse?
For worse, and it's something I only just realized now. So we have this bit where, Homer bumps into Grandpa at this arts fair and he's with his new girlfriend. He's like, oh, you can finally get to meet her. He's like, what do you mean finally? You've not told me about this. And then he has all these messages from Grandpa that he's not listened to. But then later on, they're talking about how strained their relationship is and how they never talk. And it's like, but there's Grandpa trying to talk to you, but Homer ignoring him is not the focus. Like, it would have really made more sense if it had been like, we were hanging out with you 2 weeks ago. You didn't mention her at all. And he's like, I tell you plenty of stuff when I feel like it or something. Something to really start that standoff relationship.
The crux of this issue, right, is that they're kind of playing... traditionally, 30 years of Simpsons has Abe constantly reaching out to Homer, desperate to make that relationship.
Well, it's been a mix. Yeah.
Except for when he's... Like, when they're together, suddenly he's persnickety with him. Or when you need him to be persnickety about something,
Yeah, reaching. Okay, I could give him. Yeah, he reaches out until they're together, and then it's all criticism.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It's a problem here. Because the start of the episode isn't him snapping at Homer, and then Homer going,
"This is why we don't call."
This is why we don't call. No, it starts out with, "We have a shit relationship." Why is that? Abe is reaching out. Homer's ignoring him. Homer's the antagonist of this shit relationship. Why am I supposed to suddenly empathize with Homer for the...
And yeah, the answer is we've watched this for 34 years, but at the same time, you can re-establish that because they do everything else.
Yeah, but...
They re-establish Lisa as being the no friends killjoy. We know that. So that's the point. Yeah, I'm agreeing in the sense that you do need to re-establish common ideas of the show even after all this time.
You can't set a ground of Homer being the bad guy and Abe being the good guy and then try to flick that as the main storyline, especially, I think.
Yeah, that's it, because Abe's done a lot of horrible stuff for Homer, but yeah, in the beginning of the episode, it's just, Homer's negligent. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because they really, they rush trying to make you empathize for Homer. They really like.
So did you guys kind of buy that? Like,
No.
because I like the justification for it, even though I didn't like the ride, that this was like, when he had Homer, he felt like this was him losing the rest of his life. And now with this kid, it feels like he's getting another chance. It's like, it's nice justification. I don't know that I buy
It's
it.
a nice
Dude,
justification. I also like then the comedy line punch of, oh, I understand. No matter how old you get, it's always about you.
Yeah.
You know, the fact we even get a joke out of that. It's
I don't know. That feels like it's really undercutting it again as well, you know? Like, there's this chance for Abe. I mean, clearly, there's a chance for Abe. Screwed it up this time. I'll do better the next time.
Yeah.
It's an obvious answer as to why he's trying harder because he was bad with Homer. You know, it's weird but it's weird that they have to sort of reach for a really contrived way to make it funny.
Yeah, because it
know.
does, like, I think you pointed it out when we were watching the episode, it does feel like we've seen this story before of, like, an adult child that,
an adult trying to reconnect with their parent has discovered that their parent has a new child.
And they dote upon them like they never did with them.
Yeah. You know that in The Simpsons when they have a new baby? Oh, baby sleeps in the crib. Sorry, sweetie. Is that my Homer or my Marge?
That's your Marge. From now on, the baby sleeps in the crib. Iron helps us play.
Yeah. Those aren't all Marge, though.
No. You'd be surprised, though.
Hang on. Let me work on my Marge. Sorry, sweetie. From now on, baby sleeps in the crib.
Yeah,
right.
Simpsons 1920s.
In the crib, see?
And your baby can too sleep in a crib. They're called 555.
Yeah, I mean,
our
that's
sponsor, Baby Cribs.
that trope felt really weak and like what a waste of a strong setup of like exploring Abe sort of finding peace and finding a relationship,
Finding love.
finding a relationship with someone that's so different from him emotionally and mentally and psychologically, blah 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 blah. And it seemed like he was learning to get in touch with his inner emotions and shit.
Yeah.
Chance for him to reconnect with Homer, blah blah blah. Why was Calvin in this at all? Why would it suddenly turn into this Homer jealousy shtick?
Yeah, well, I mean, also the whole angle of Abe connecting with this kid because it brings him back to his youth or whatever. Like, this is kind of undercutting the whole learning inner peace and whatever from this spiritual gong lady.
Yeah, but
what's her job?
Blythe. Her name was Blythe.
Yeah. Would have been kind of a fun end of like, Dad, why do you treat Calvin so nice when you were so mean to me? Oh, you see, son, Blythe has been supplying me with lots of marijuana.
Yeah.
Easy.
I love weed jokes.
I get laid like crazy in this retirement home.
Take the chrome off a tailpipe.
Yeah, you could say Blythe is very randy, and then Lamb of God plays. Blythe is very randy. Randy Blythe is the lead singer of
everyone
Lamb of
step
God.
back. That tumbleweed has to go through.
Tumbleweed were a Wollongong band.
Chirp, chirp.
Danny, what stands out to you from this
Chirp,
episode, for better or worse?
Oh, God, we're on the first question.
I felt like they were drawing really heavily on Community. They did the pillow fort, blanket fort bit. That really stood out to me.
It was a pillow fight.
No. Like when they went into the pillow fight room, the slumber room, and they had the mashed potato stall and the face paint stall, and was that him with the Traditsnitz? I know they had the paperwork, that sort of blanket forty thing. I actually really liked how wholeheartedly into this EDM scene that Lisa just dived, and then her like really pale and baggy eyed the next day and jonesing for a fix. Like, I wanted to see this whole train spotting thing going on.
Yeah, backwards Maggie head and everything.
Right? Like, it would have been so funny watching her have like a withdrawal from sugar episode, or like they could have spent so much more time in that arc.
Yeah.
And
the arc doesn't seem to exist for like, I don't know what we get out of
No,
it.
because then, Bart's raising concern and saying, Lisa, you can't keep this up. And then that's another flip of their usual dynamic.
Things are happening.
And that doesn't resolve either. Like, surely the next point in that story is, Bart has to get more involved and put a stop to it himself.
Has to put a stop to it. It would have been so much better.
Yeah. What'd you think about, like, how she sort of jumps on the grenade, but then it works out for her?
Ain't fine.
It felt like a Breakfast Clubby sort of ending, You go out and fist punch in the air and all the other kids are like, yeah!
when which one of them was taken off in a cop car?
No, I mean spiritually, you know.
In the same way that gong vibrations make you wriggle across the floor?
That was another thing that I was really interested in and dropping. Like they clearly made this big point of showing the bullet resonating in dark, and then she resonates in red. And I thought it was going to be like has to get the bullet removed or something, or she's got like a plate or a pacemaker or something that's reacting like in waves to the bullet in like a science way instead of an emotional way.
Oh, his bullet causes butterflies in her stomach, and that makes a bullet with butterfly wings. Sorry?
Also, that bullet clearly still has its casing on, for God's sake. America, figure out firearms. You don't know how they work.
Fuck. Wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
I don't know if I wrote down any...
I mean, the bullet had a casing on it, despite clearly being fired.
You'd have to hammer it in. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my God, imagine that's how he got the bullet in his foot.
Doesn't want to shoot himself, so he has to hammer it in.
Yeah, it's pretty
That'd
ridiculous.
be kind of funny. If he said that, I'd forgive it.
Yeah.
Oh, so I just read the note breathing. And I know what it is. It's this extended,
Let's reenact it. No.
It was their Family Guy
upsetting.
swing.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
talking about a whole bunch of community shit, but they stole from Family Guy. They love to do the Family Guy bit.
Yeah, so they're trying to breathe on each other. Like that's
I get
the
it
context.
from like a childish... Again, this works in the sense that they're childishly competing.
They're doing Step Brothers with...
Yeah, that's what this is, isn't it?
I think it's just that we get a montage of them pranking each other back and forth, and then we just get scenes of them pranking each other back and forth. It's like, no, this is why you had the montage, so you didn't have to do it in real time.
And then they're best friends, and then one has to save the other one's life, and then before we know it, they're kissing, and I just classic Step Brothers montage stuff.
Well, that's kind of another disappointment, that we didn't see much of them getting along, and it's a shame because I think they had a nice understanding.
I think they were getting there.
There's another plot point of like Homer starts getting along with Calvin, then Bart's like, hey, you don't get along with me. And we realize it's been a cycle of trauma and generational suffering. And Homer can be the one that breaks that, but he decides instead to say dough when he...
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Swing to the Simpsons for going to the emotional moments for once, but like...
Cheaply, though, they're not digging deep.
And it works theoretically. There's just something missing out of this. I don't know quite what.
Yeah. It's like I didn't like the pacing of it. Whenever they had speeches, they were really racing through comedy, and then they were really slowing down and making sure that you heard every word that they were saying, because this part is the part that is supposed to resonate with you.
Oh my God, I felt it when he said that.
Is it resonating like the bullet in your foot?
Wow.
That you hammered in?
Wow.
Your aura is purple.
Also, they did a bunch of EQ work. Like all the male voices were really EQ'd.
No, I agree. It was like...
Marge had like all the bass and mids rolled out.
Yeah.
Well, then how do you even EQ Marge's voice anymore?
Yeah. They were trying to roll off some of the gravel.
Again, I just want Julie Kavanaugh to walk out in front of the curtain and say, hi, everyone. Just so you know, my voice does not hurt as much as it sounds like. This is normal wear and tear for me. I'm actually not in pain. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an excellent impression of BT Calloway.
Yeah. I mean, if she could pull that off.
Wow.
She's great.
Surely.
I'm looking to retire.
Sorry, I forgot to make the point that I was before because we got off on that tangent. So... The sound was kind of choppy and weird in this one because it's another problem of New Simpsons. It doesn't have a lot of interstitial music. And so when it picked the moments that it did for its soundtrack, which sound distinctly un-Simpsons-y,
dude,
they had a fucking Nightwish track in here.
How weird was like a metal track in the middle of The Simpsons?
Finnish symphonic metal band Nightwish. I think they're Finnish. Who cares? European
metal band The Simpsons.
I didn't even... When was the Nightwish in this episode?
Oh, there was like a metal band... It was during the smashing the stuff.
Ah, right. Yeah, that is a weird... Yeah, someone in the Simpsons listened to what Nightwish and found out they were a big Simpsons fan, they could use a track for free.
I think we said it off mic. You were like, oh yeah, they paid for that, so they used it twice. And it's like, I don't think they paid that much. Did anyone clock the pop song? I forgot to look that up.
Did anyone grok that pop song? I didn't know there was a pop song. When
during the Raven stuff.
Oh, that was Better Off Alone by Alice DJ.
Really?
No, it was Darude's Sandstorm. He's right. That is exactly the one. This guy raves the 90s.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a more modern sort of umphy song.
It was an umphy.
Yeah. That's...
Like a dog almost throwing up.
Oh. Well, yep. Never going to hear
Anyway,
that.
my point being that they sounded weird against a Simpsons sort of front drop.
Yeah.
I'm not used to hearing actual music in The Simpsons. Not Danny Elfman, but what's his name? Yeah, non-orchestrated music.
You're not expecting
Yeah.
to hear Smack My Bitch Up or something.
Mm.
Gets to the mirror at the end, it was Lisa all along. Oh my God.
Wow.
But when it's not contextual like that, like when they've had a music guest star and,
Diegetic.
yeah, exactly. Like this is just Simpsons soundtrack is now finished metal. Like
Get used to it.
Yeah, it was like, for me, that was what really sold me on that Doom Eternal, when suddenly like heavy metal was actually part of video gaming in a very different way than it was before.
actually, have you guys seen that game? I think it's called Hellsinger.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, where it's a rhythm first person shooter. Yeah.
That was disappointing.
Wasn't it?
Super chill, not good for on
It was
podcast
super
hosts.
chill though.
It's like, hey, your beer's open.
Has all the impact of a stop sign symbol.
Akasha super chill. Sounds bad, tastes good.
Welcome to Flavor Country.
So it feels like we've gone through like mostly the emotional moments, so I'm going to skip to the heart and just ask, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No.
Yeah. Elliot, I formulated a metaphor earlier, and that much like in this episode where taxidermy features, this is like
Oh
a
my God,
taxidermied Simpsons. It looks the way it should, and yet there is something lifeless about it.
It's stitched together and it's put on this weird blue stand that's around its neck.
And despite the fact that everything should work, it just doesn't quite. I'm an English person.
The pelican's eating the wrong kind of fish.
Exactly.
Dude, that metaphor fucking sticks.
Yeah, it really does, man. Like, my take on this is it doesn't feel like a Simpsons episode. It feels like 6 different types of episodes glued together. There's 3 bits stolen from Community in a way that really cribs their writing style. The Homer and the brother arc is like so Will and Gracie frenzy sort of 90s sitcom-y.
I was kind of fighting you on the Community angle until I thought about that bit where Bart and Lisa leave the party because it's too intense.
Yeah.
And they have it back and forth. And if I replace that with Troy and Abed, that slots exactly in.
Yeah.
Bart and Lisa throw a party.
Oh my God.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. And all of those things would have been good to lean into as a whole episode. But the Frankenstein-y nature of it, the disparity between all these different styles, genres, it doesn't work as a whole. It doesn't, no, not happy. It doesn't feel like a Simpsons episode. It doesn't feel like a Simpsons episode. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that in answer to your question. No.
But yes or no, would you watch it again?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to need a purpose, maybe dissection, maybe really understanding what it's there for. Or maybe just to watch it on a different day to see if it strikes me on a different mood,
So, yeah. Like,
Because
it's
again,
weird how strong we reacted to it.
And we all kind of had the same feeling of, all right, without really being like, there were no big laughs in the watch, but there was also no big, fuck off kind of moments.
Yeah.
So
But they were trying so hard to elicit emotion from us,
Yeah, and look, there
I
are
felt
parts,
played.
parts where it really starts to skirt towards, like the whole, as much as I don't really like, I didn't like the joke with the eye drops at first, but the fact they use that later on when Grandpa has his eye drops in and mistakes Homer as Calvin, and he's like nice to him, and then the fact that Homer uses that to switch it, be like, okay,
a second later as well, yeah.
Calvin, you dress up like me and see, because he's all like, oh, my dad was always mean to me, and Calvin's like, nah, he loves you, and he's like, no. Tell you what, go in, dress as me, and see how he reacts to you. And to have the flip of that, I think was actually really interesting, of having Calvin's expression of, oh, wow, this is the person who's been really nice to me, and this is how bad they can be.
Yeah.
There's something there. It's just...
You can't handle me my worst, don't deserve me my... It's interesting showing the flip sides of the same person. It really, as an idea, that really fleshes out that a human being is a complex...
There's a myriad of complex emotions.
Absolutely.
It's why I'm a cyborg.
Yeah, and I did like the reveal with it as well, and like that using it as the justification and the perspectives that they used. That was like artfully and nicely done. It's just, it's when you have these things of, was it worth it from the build up that we were given?
And it's such a tired trope, man. Even the mistaking him for the other one, so he's really nice to him, and then he mistakes the other one for him, and he's really angry to him, and blah,
been a
blah,
cliche
blah,
since
blah,
Shakespeare.
blah,
So.
blah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's tropey and it's tired. It's what you do with it. And I'm saying, I think that the camera angles that they used and that part of it was like, okay, you took something really cliche and used it kind of originally, but
Even Grandpa's line of, I was doing a find duet and nearly had the longest diagonal of my life. It's like just such a curmudgeonly thing to be annoyed about.
Of my pro career or something, my crossword pro career.
But putting him in the perspective and like looking up as he's like lurching down at him, that's powerful shit.
Camera work is nice.
The camera work, the art, the angles, everything is gorgeous. And like the strings were doing some great things. There was this really like powerful string scene at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even the first kind of hard moment into this where Homer's watching Calvin and Grandpa putting up a bird feeder and Calvin's like, uppies. And Homer just goes, hey, my dad never gave me uppies. And
and saying something very silly in an emotional way. That is good shit. Oh my God.
Good tropey shit. Again, parts of this work, it's just something about the whole of it doesn't.
So, what's a better Simpsons episode that reminds you of this one?
I mean, the one where, the love tonic.
The house.
Yeah, the love tonic.
Yeah, true. Good Grandpa Homer relationship
great
ones.
Grandpa Homer one.
You kind of got this one which says the namesake of Brother from the Same Planet, which is the...
Brother from a different series.
Oh, what about the one where, like, Peppy, he makes friends with his Peppy, the little brother?
That's the one I was saying. The one you were saying was the Cecil Brother one.
Yeah, I know.
Good brother episodes, why not?
Yeah, why not?
That episode doesn't hold up surprisingly well.
Really?
Yeah, Homer's just kind of a dick in it.
Yeah, parts of it work, but overall you're like, okay, and stuff in the end.
Yeah, and Tom sucks as well. Like
Tom did...
Like, he's wildly irresponsible.
Quick. Yeah, gives a child a military weapon for show and tell.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Anyway, what would you like to change about this episode, BT?
Look, just take a long walk and really think about it. Because, again, elements of this do work. It's just there's something missing in the heart guts. Some part of it doesn't flow properly. I'm not entirely even sure what. Make with a laugh a bit more. But there's just something off in the flow of this one. I can't put my finger on it.
Danny, what would you
Fix
like to change?
Fix that flow.
I'd get rid of Calvin from the A storyline entirely. So I'd make that whole arc the small B arc about Abe and Blythe's relationship, exploring Abe sort of healing himself and looking at his damaged relationship with Homer can still happen. And then I really liked who was saying it was Beach who was talking about Homer and Bart being a reflection of Abe and Homer. That's a really nice sort of...
Yeah, Blythe is this new woman in his life, and she's like, "Oh, you need to spend more time with your son." And they,
and that frees up space by like trimming that one to really lean into the Bart and Lisa side, and like fully go into the train spotting sort of like self-destructive
24-hour party people kind of shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm disappointed there were no interference from like the retirement house staff or like any explanation of why they are letting this slide. Like,
well, even just the explanation of they're throwing a loud party, but everyone's deaf. So, they're old people and they can't...
Yeah, it doesn't explain the workers, though. How are you going to pay off the workers, BT?
Well, they would have to care.
Mm.
And they could be like, we're going to call up the trustee board who run this retirement home and we're going to make sure they find out about you kids and fill out the paperwork and do whatever.
There's crooked nurses. There's pills everywhere.
We'll just pay them off. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It feels like both the A and B story have room to be their own A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we got to balance them. Like,
Show me your A.
This gets get rid of Calvin, get rid of taxidermy. What the fuck was taxidermy there for at all?
It's so weird and creepy.
And I don't see what that was adding for us. It was giving us this big reveal scene with the shells because they couldn't find a better way to... They couldn't find a way for Homer to express himself. So they inserted taxidermy into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, snip, 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 snip.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lisa has to get her arm chopped off like in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, God. Ends up curled in the fetal position while Marge tries to get on the game show but never gets it and gets electroshock therapy. Is that where you want to go? Who's going ass to ass, Danny? Who's going ass to ass?
We're going train spotting, not Requiem.
Okay, thank you. We'll dial it back a touch.
It can still be a shocking look at the self-destructive nature of the London EDM scene.
Yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, on that, like, I was just sort of thinking while you're saying, like, it's weird that, like, Bart makes a big deal of, like, Lisa wanting to do 2 nights. Mm-hmm. So why isn't it those 2 nights are the weekend nights, and then she wants to fucking do it on Sunday as well? She's like, we've only got this room for 1 more week. we could have 7 parties.
We've got the room for one more week. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it's good. And he's like, Lisa, you need to keep the special things special. And she's like,
Yeah.
woo! 24 hours, 7 days, bitch. What? Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. And then she, I don't know, fails the big
Oh, he
kids
goes to school
test.
on Monday and she's not there. The seat's empty, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, she's still at
She's
the
still
retirement home.
goddamn partying.
Yeah.
Fucking lunatic. Just mainlining cheese whiz and pixie sticks.
That's it. He finds her in like back alleys partying with like
Some guys like, you got my cheese whiz, boy, because you got till Monday to give it to me.
Well, see, this is where I'm getting into something that I really didn't like about the episode. And is just, I don't know, the kids doing adult stuff kind of, that trope kind of bugs me a bit.
Very hit and miss in this show.
Yeah. I kind of like what they did with it in the, like, they still kept it within the context of a kid that she's just having a cute, innocent sleepover and, like, it all makes sense in the world. But, yeah, I don't know. When we're getting into Lisa owing bad men for fucking lollipops or something like that. But I don't know. There's just so more and more intrigue that you could tie into that story. Where's she getting the lollipops to pay off all the people, you know?
Well, it doesn't have to be about the drugs and the money. It's
Yeah,
about
the
her
party,
self-destruction,
party,
you know?
party,
About
party.
she gets this one taste of fame and popularity, and suddenly it goes to her head and she spirals.
That's also
It's,
part of Darkness, the pool episode.
I was thinking,
But it's got EDM beats.
Scarface, you know? We have
All
her.
right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, more mobsters in this thing.
You need me to point at me and say, there's the bad guy?
I don't know what the cocaine is in the scenario. It's sugar. No, no.
But you don't want to face down a pile of sugar. That's a bit too
Yeah.
much.
I am interested in your idea of cutting Calvin out completely.
Thank you.
However, my idea is different. No, I don't know.
Here's a better idea.
No, I don't actually even think it's a better idea. It's just an idea. Like, if you've seen that show on Netflix, you know, Old Home for 4-year-olds or whatever it's called, where they pair up, like, really old, lonely people with, like...
Where they take the dog for a walk, and when they come back, the dog's blindfolded, and the dog...
They show it a
is-
new kennel, and it's like arf, 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 which means I'm happy.
It's got new blinds and a
What
patio.
are we talking about?
The show where little kids go hang out with old people for a couple of hours.
No, that sounds boring.
Yeah. Anyway, just to
Catch
write
Predator.
that into the story of why Abe is hanging out with a young child
You bastard.
that Homer is jealous of. Anyway, let's fucking get into our final note time.
Now it's time for
Now
our
it's
final
time.
notes.
Now it's time. Now it's time.
Final notes.
Elliot's final notes.
Everyone's final notes. We changed it like 13 seasons ago.
Right. And BT's final notes too.
And yours, my friend.
I didn't write them down.
That's true. Anything else occur to you about this episode that you'd like to talk on?
It sort of happens while we're in situ, you know? So I'm sort of waiting for you guys to spark the thing, and then I talk over the top of you.
Oh, you mean like if I was going to talk about... so when they're at the art fair... they've
Oh
got-
my God, you know...
He's very good at being himself. There's a bit where Marge buys like an artisanal handcrafted wooden box, and the guy's like, "Okay, let me just explain to the box that it's going to live with you now."
Oh my God.
Okay, I mean, I've gone to a lot of craft fairs, and I've seen people who are very attached to
Dude,
the stuff they make.
today I bought a candle, and she had like a little card that I had to read on how to burn the candle. The first time you light the candle, you have to leave it running for 4 hours in order to allow proper soakage of the wire.
It's like you mislight the candle.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, there's a bit where Blythe or whatever is having her, inner peace hippie prayer bowl ringing class, and they drag Abe in. He's like, "But I don't want inner peace."
Yeah.
They got me. That was funny.
Yeah.
When they go to Blythe's house and there's a lot of chimes, and Marge's like, "Ooh, so many chimes, you won't miss any wind."
We'll go back and forth.
Sorry, I must have peed so fucking much. Oh shit! It's such a
shittily good Marge
It's
line.
so Marge.
It
Like
is.
you're
You're gonna hear all
you
of
want to say something.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these. Let me say something
Think
about them.
Yeah, I'm meeting this new woman. I've got to be polite. Oh,
Yeah.
wind chimes. You'll certainly
Potatoes.
hear
I
the
just think they're neat.
We'll go back and forth because
Sure.
I do not have many left.
Okay.
Like, I usually go that much.
Oh, man, I
This-
barely got a page for this
Yeah.
one.
The second page was barely used. I usually use at least 1.5 page. And what do I even have to fucking say? Does any part of the montage stick out to you? I kind of like the deer antler bit, sort of.
Yeah, the rest is
Yeah,
washed
the deer
on
antler was nice.
There's a bit with a massive car crash for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes the steering wheel off.
off Calvin's bike, so he takes the steering wheel off his car, which is a very different thing, and Calvin's clearly a sociopath.
Classic, like, Simpsons escalate. Not Simpsons escalating. Maybe it's more Family Guy escalation, isn't it?
I think it's kind of the disappointing and like lazy thing of his progression as well, that it seems like to be this matching of him and Homer versus like a really precocious kid versus a dumb adult, and like like them meeting in the same level, but like I don't know, I don't feel like Homer antagonized Calvin enough to.
Yes.
It felt like a very instant snap.
Yes. They portrayed Calvin as very emotionally mature, lots of long words, lots of intelligent opinions, and then just because Homer was acting immaturely, suddenly this kid is...
I didn't mind that. It's like the facade
Dennis
of maturity
the Menace.
drops when he's being insulted. He's like, well, you're a butthead.
Donacci the Menacci.
You know, he's reaching deep and finding petty insults, because intellectualism does not give you good insults often.
Yeah, but they sort of built him like... Not Nelson, who's Smart-Face McMartin?
Martin.
Yeah, they built him as Martin. And in fact, then they showed Martin in scene, and he was basically the same... I'm the same voice, essentially. Where with my little... I can't remember what he was doing, but he was wearing his, like, smarty pants little clothes and being such a pretentious little dipshit.
He's getting dropped off at the rave.
He was too. Yeah, go Martin.
Yeah.
Go get it wet, son.
Show him who's the prince. You got a note, BT?
I do. I'm just trying to get away from encouraging Martin to get wet.
Summer wind. Sorry.
Come blowing.
I'm so sorry.
From
Elliot. I mean,
sea.
tomorrow, Elliot.
When they have the first rave party and they're like, come on in, we have take your shoes off, we have unlimited bed jumping. That was pretty good. That's a very little kid thing that's going to be the unlimited.
Yeah.
I wish
I
there
wanted
was a
them to
bit...
have like a stamp for it.
So you can get back in, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of the disappointing and lazy thing about like M-rated movies and R-rated video games or whatever. Like it's like I wanted more shit like bed jumping. Like what other kid games have you got?
This goes to, you were saying that kids doing adult things is a fine line to walk.
Yeah.
And like them throwing a rave, it's a chance for us having kid version of a rave comedy.
Unlimited bed jumping is a good use of it, I think.
Yeah, bed jumping is fine, but
then
they were like, what would kids do at parties? Oh, they would play Xbox, you know, and this is garbage. Doesn't make for a good rave. That makes for a realistic children's loser party. God, that I've been to in my whole life.
Look, man, you jumped on that bed. Great, I saw
Dude, I bet we play Xbox as soon as this is over.
Yeah.
Series X, though. You know.
Yeah, I mean...
hey, we're grown men now.
Yeah. Our knees cannot take jumping on a bed.
God, the bed can't take jumping on from...
Man, no.
My note time?
But did it feel like an episode?
You know what? I forgot to mention before when I asked that question, I forgot to answer myself. That it did not feel like an episode of The Simpsons because Homer is made of fucking rubber in this one. There are so many like Homer doing those Disney exaggerated facial movements.
Oh, yeah.
That, were originally like treason in the old cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
in
just
the old
looked
days.
off-putting and weird and horrible, and like I like that style, but not in my
Makes him look
Simpsons.
fidgety.
Yeah.
It's like the animators are expecting us to get bored with their boring story. So
100%.
they're putting distractions in. Make your story better instead.
Yeah.
Don't just like give us a shit story with like a 3D with like dancing monkeys in the background to keep us busy. Oh, this story sucks, but there's lots of flashing lights.
You know
Don't
what?
worry, kids. We got some great commercials coming up.
You know what? Yeah, make a good story and leave it to us to reanimate it and then put fucking dancing weird chickens
Yeah,
in the
we
background.
will add the shit.
Right? Who gives a shit about the fucking laser show?
Yeah. BT?
In the second party rave at the retirement castle, they're like,
Did
someone
like the party
fed the donkey pop rocks and now its poop is
Oh,
exploding.
yeah.
I was mostly for that.
And then the bang and then, the TV fell over. Yeah, decent misdirect joke.
Yeah, it was a misdirect. I was expecting exploding poo.
There.
Yeah, Homer moving like rubber, bad. Exploding poo, awesome.
Right. But
speaking of which,
they had a petting zoo and feeding it pop rocks. That is exactly what I want out of little kids doing the John Bonham trashing
When they're not
your...
being, observed by adults.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. You were halfway through a better point than me.
No, I wasn't. I was just about to say he kisses the butt you walk on.
Oh, yeah.
I liked that line.
Mixed metaphors.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm out. The remainder are not really fun.
No, they're not. And the end, the fourth act, whatever, Abe's trying to call Homer and he's ignoring him again.
Yeah.
Wacky.
Indeed. It's not the worst. At least it brings back something that happened in the episode and is relative to the...
But now we're back at revealing that Homer was the bad guy all along.
Again,
and Homer and Abe had been reaching out to him all along.
Yeah, even if that had been their argument, why are you so nice to him now? It's like, well, I learned to soften up after, years and years.
I want to do it better.
And I have been calling you.
Yeah.
But by then, the damage was done, and there's something to be said about that. It's, I want to hang out with your dad, but I can't forget all the horrible things you did through my childhood.
Yes. See, that's so much better than the two seashells.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to use the two seashells.
It's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah.
Anyone else chambered?
Yes.
Go for it.
I'm going to give it a bronze. Despite our numerous complaints about it, the fact that it doesn't even fully feel like a Simpsons episode, it at least is it's actually quite well structured. It's the details that are lacking. And that was a very distracting sound. I'm sorry.
Can you get me a beer?
And it's the details that are lacking. It still feels like someone is really genuinely trying. And again, none of this made me angry or annoyed. And it wasn't boring in the sense of dragging on forever or ever either. It was just something is off here and I don't know what. I'm very curious to revisit it on a different day when I'm in a different mood to see if it does still have that kind of what's missing vibe to me. But overall, I kind of want to give it a gold star for effort, which is a bronze, naturally. You don't get gold for effort.
No, gold stars aren't made out of gold after all. They're made out of bronze.
No, hell no. You need like a super titanium cubic for a gold star to be a gold medal. You want to open that beer on Mike? Not much better. Much better.
Crisp. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back now because I still want to delay. Are you chambered?
Yeah, I know what I want to say.
He knows what he wants, what he really wants.
Into the mic, sweetie.
That's my line.
He stole your bit.
Into the mic, sweetie. I'm getting a participant because I wasn't impressed with the writing, with the acting. I wasn't particularly impressed with the story as a whole, actually, but I liked the music. I liked the drawing, the camera work.
He liked the pretties.
Yeah. So I think the team on it was great, except for the people that wrote and made and acted in it.
Such a backhand.
Yeah.
Played tennis with that backhand. What you feeling, EJO? Too much EDM for EJO?
Elliot Jay O'Neill. Yeah, participant.
I still feel, in my memory, it feels like there's a shot in the dance montage of Dean Pelton just like raving with glow sticks. Was that in this, or am I just imagining it?
Yeah, your mind wandered off and you thought of a better show again. Yeah, look, I'm landing on a participant. It's so disappointing that it didn't meet a potential that it set at various points. I want to reward it for the good things it did, but I don't feel like...
It had big ideas that it wanted to explore.
Got big plans.
It
You'll
had
see. We'll make it
potential.
to California.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Make Room for Lisa one where, they're in the deprivation tanks and Lisa realizes she's been a jerk even though the whole episode Homer's been an absolute jerk cunt.
Jerk cunt.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
it feels like that. This episode kind of jerk cunted me around, yeah?
Being ambitious doesn't get you points. If you go to the gym and you put 600 kilograms on the thing, it doesn't matter if you can't lift it. You don't get points for...
Yeah.
You get points for trying.
Well, for
You
ambition.
don't make friends with trying.
But I'm glad someone went bronze, though, because the shiny participant sounds right for this one. All right.
It
Well,
was
look,
very shiny.
that about does it on the Simpsons Index for this week. But before we get out of here, why don't we plug some stuff?
Yeah. Wait.
This is the plug song.
What were we doing?
Oh, Well, these two guys have been doing some really cool podcasts that you may or may not be aware of. They've done one where Elliot has watched Game of Thrones, but not the way that most people have watched it or complained about it. What he's actually done is watched Enorth Fo Imag. How'd it go? Senorth. It's plural, isn't it? Yeah. And it's a surprisingly enthralling experience where he starts off with nothing but thrilling conclusions and slowly meets an ensemble cast that leap back to life and unpale themselves off swords and their heads just out of red paste.
Oh my god, that's exactly what this episode was. I feel like the same way I felt watching season 8 of Game of Thrones, not knowing what led up to this whatever I just watched.
Anyway, I had a remarkable time not recording it, but listening to it, and you guys possibly will as well. It was really fun.
Well, if we're doing each other's plugs, then Shag over here has an awesome YouTube channel.
I do actually have an awesome YouTube channel. It's pretty fun.
What's the link? Do you
yeah,
have a URL?
Yeah, well, if you just YouTube, and I'm at Danny Macabre, which I prefer to pronounce Macabre.
Macabre.
Yeah, Danny Macabre sounds terrible. I've got about 20 songs so far, but I'm going strong. By the time you listen to this, it may well be 21.
Nice.
Now it can drink in America.
Yeah, and not a lot of people know this, but Elliot Jay O'Neill has started a Twitch stream where he makes mac and cheese and then gets stoned and plays video games. So if you want some sick mac and cheese recipes
Wait, is this true?
and to watch him play video games, you're going to need to convince him to make that show I just made up.
I'm going to
Mac
put
and
on
games.
so much fucking weight.
I was so ready to watch that.
Mac and games. Come on, tell me you don't want it.
Yes, games and gains.
Mac and Cheesy the Clown.
Well, yeah, until macaroni and cheesy gaming comes along. We also have a Patreon out there at patreon.com/sidequeststudios. What are we doing over there, BT?
Oh, so many things. Oh my, the things we do. My stars. Look,
Like stars as in starring Springfield?
Oh wow, segue. Yes, we have over 100 exclusive podcasts for our lovely Patreon heroes, and that includes our newest show, Starring Springfield, where we review movies that star the cast of The Simpsons, but in ways you've never seen them before. And by starring, I mean loosely featured for even 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, and by this point, we put an episode of that out on the free feed anyway.
Yeah,
so you get a sampler of what we're doing over there.
A nice tasty sample. You just bit, what do I think about this? Do I want to give these guys $5 a month for over 100 hours of free entertainment that I'm paying $5 for, so it's not free?
Yes, I do.
I keep doing that.
There's also a spooky place out there called Pulp Fury Radio.
Ooh.
And if you haven't heard, well, you should.
What a great ad read.
Yeah, there you go, guy. These guys here have done enormous radio plays, just like in the old radio days, and they're fully sick. They're fully realized with cast and effects and scripts, and I was stunned watching them. Listening to them. You know what? I'm really bad at reading ads like this. I wish I'd done
I wish you led into the original words that you use. Oh, it's fully sick.
It's fully sick, brah.
It is radical.
Tubular and bodacious. Yeah, absolutely. No, they've done one of the coolest like sci-fi squidsy zombie thingies that I've ever listened to and imagined in my mind space. And in fact, there are about 3 more that I really want to talk about, but you guys haven't heard them yet, so no spoilies.
No spoilies until then. But anyway, thank you for checking out the podcast this week, and thank you for being here, Danny.
Oh, I'm Danny Rosewell. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, BT.
Ahoy, hoy.
And I've been Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Whoop whoop.
I wonder what that person who's only ever read the spreadsheet thought of the podcast. Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can also check out our other shows, like Pulp Fury Radio, our scripted fiction podcast, which tells all original stories across a range of pulp genres, and Thrones of Game, where we review Game of Thrones in reverse order. Links to those podcasts and more will be available in the show notes. Now, there's no bonus scenes for this episode, so we'll catch you next week. Well, it's the TikTok of podcasts. So we're in and out in 30 seconds.
Pid pods.
Tick pods. Pod talk.
Dick pods.
TikTok dick pic.
Forgot to mention in the end extras as well. God damn it. Like, at one point when they were drawing the hands and the fingers, I swear he was drawing a dick at one point.
Ew.
Ew. Ew, that's
Penises.
totally gnarly. Who would draw a penis?
Bro.
It's like the least drawn thing.
Yeah, like not even those Italian dudes in the 80s drew like dicks on their art and stuff. They all cover them with fig leaves. No one wants to draw a dick, man.
Or an olive branch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Like an olive garden of dicks.
Yes, famous brothel chain Olive Garden.
Of dicks.
This is going to be a good one. Calling it
Now we have to live up
Nostradamus
to it.
over here.
Yeah. Nostradamus.
How have they not done a Nostradamus part? Nostra annoyed gruntious.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Give it time.
The pardon me.
Mm.
Coming to you from the SideQuest Studios. The SideQuest Studios? Like the Facebook.
Yeah, the Netflix.